The skid plate comes with this little bracket, and it also comes with 6 bolts. 2 of these bolts hold the skid plate to this new bracket. 2 of them are meant to hold the bracket to the frame, the down tubes, but the heads on them are kind of small. They don't have a big flange on them like the original screws do. So I'm going to use 2 of the screws that hold the original skid plate on to hold this bracket on. This is definitely a lot beefier than the original skid plate, which really doesn't hardly classify as much of a skid plate. We got 2 recess mounting holes here and then 2 right there. So if we orient it, that's facing toward the front, and then this mounts like that with it angled towards the front of the bike. So I've got the original skid plate off already, and we're going to reuse 2 of these along with some blue thread lock to hold these in place, which will hold the bracket in place, and we'll go ahead and get that installed. The original skid plate mounts here and there, and that's what we'll do with the new one. Is it will bolt up there, and then our bracket mounts to where the original skid plate was bolted in place right here, and then in another location on the other side. So the first thing I did was, of course, remove the old skid plate. It uses 4 of these button head style bolts, and then I reused 2 of those bolts to mount this little bracket. You can see here how it sort of bends out and angles towards the front of the motorcycle. Our other 2 mounting points are right here and then right over there. So this particular skid plate is made for the pre-2023 Trail 125. It has a little bit different arrangement on the engine, and mine is a 2025 model. So also known as the JA65. The earlier generation engine was the JA55. So what I had to do here is carve out this so that it clears the valve cover on the bottom of the engine head. So we have, originally it went straight across, and I just made some angles and cut that out and then filed it down so it's smooth and doesn't have any sharp edges or burrs on it. So we have 4 mounting holes. These 2 mount up to that bracket that I showed just a little bit ago, and then these 2 slotted holes go at the back. It comes with 2 long pieces of foam tape, but I only used a couple small pieces because this is the only place that it really even comes into contact with the frame of the motorcycle, is right here and here on that little cross brace. I guess if you wanted to, you could also run some across here. I'll give that some thought, and maybe I'll do that. Instead of attaching a piece of foam tape to the actual skid plate, I decided to attach it to that brace. So I only attached it to the main bar where the skid plate contacts, which is from here, from right there all the way over to the other side, right in that area. And then I just took my Phillips head screwdriver and then punched in from the bottom and poked a hole through that foam, and then took this little dental tool and then smeared some Loctite inside of these little nut plates, because I figured if I put the thread lock on the threads, then it would actually self-clean the screws as I ran it through the skid plate into the foam tape. So the foam tape would have just cleaned all the thread lock off. So that was a better approach, putting it on the nut plate using this dental tool. So then on the back here, you can see we have 2 screws there. So I opted to use the 2 short screws in the back and then the 2 long ones in the front. So I have 2 long ones left over. And I'm assuming that the game plan to install this would have been to use the 2 short screws right here, but those holes were kind of oversized, so I decided to use those button head screws instead. Otherwise I would have wanted to use a flat washer here, but then the screws wouldn't have protruded very far into that nut plate. So overall, it actually looks really good. Provides good coverage. I did have to file out or elongate these 2 holes in the back to get those screws to thread in properly. A little more coverage in the back would have been nice, like if it came all the way back and covered this cross brace for the foot pegs, but that's fine, I guess. We do have the oil drain plug is exposed too, but this will be fine. It's not like I'm going to be rock hopping and jumping logs and stuff with this little bike. It's just more of backcountry. Get out and tool around and check out some Forest Service roads and that type of thing. Won't be seeing much rugged terrain with it.